It's serendipitous that the QAO audit into online services was happening at almost exactly the same time that the department was undergoing a business case to look at the one-stop shop initiative. So some of those items of information that QAO were looking for weren't available when we started, but in order to be able to make a case to government to proceed with the one-stop shop, we did need to pull together a lot of business case information and work very closely with, excuse me, with all of the agencies to be able to get some of those metrics around what the cost of managing channels within the Queensland Government actually looks like. So the focus of the one-stop shop, as you can see there, is really with the customer at the centre. So while partly it was about efficiency, predominantly it was about improved customer service delivery. It was a great advantage to be able to have had the QAO report for us to be able to target a number of our recommendations on and focus on. And what I'll do is give you a bit of a flavour of what the one-stop shop is delivering, where it's at, and specifically how we've actually addressed each of the recommendations within the QAO report. So the one-stop shop addresses a couple of key areas. There's benefits to the public and there's benefits to government. So the focus predominantly is on customer services, I indicated. So it is about ensuring that services are easier to find. They're available 24 hours a day. There's a seamless availability of those services. People get the right answer, and there's a joined-up approach to the way in which services are actually delivered. So if we put a member of the public at the centre of this and look into government, what do they see? And at the moment, they see a fragmented process. So there's different services uniquely delivered within certain counters. We have a smattering of online services that are available and a smattering of information that's actually available. So the intention through this process is to ensure that the experience from a member of the public's perspective is much improved. And I suppose one of the key benefits of this program, and one of the issues that really means that the case for it is strong, is that we can actually improve that customer service and reduce the cost to government. From a government perspective, we are after those efficiencies, reducing the duplication of effort. Improving customer satisfaction obviously means that government is a much better place to work for our employees, and staff satisfaction as a result of that means that not only do government staff happier to work, it flows on to the services that we provide to our clients. Some key facts, I suppose, that we discovered during the business case process was that really the drive towards online services is the key from a government perspective. We identified that 90% of the inquiries that government receives are for basic information, and only 40% of that information is available online. So really we do put ourselves through a lot of manual effort to be able to provide information to the public, which essentially they should be able to, in a lot of cases, find themselves. From the point of view of the fragmentation, the stats sort of speak for themselves. We have 146 government websites. There are 16 independently run and operated contact centres and over 300 counters. While we say 300 here, if you add some of the specialist counters, there are over 700 government outlets across the state. The statistics would suggest that 42% of the public would prefer to access their services online, and Mayus indicated that we didn't have a really good handle on what government transactions were available online. After the work that we'd undertaken, we think it's around 28%. which is a long way away from what we can actually achieve. We've been able to agree from a government perspective, and what we've committed to is a 2-year program, and this is what our immediate focus is. It's within a 5-year window, but at this point in time we're really focused on what we can achieve within the next 2 years. As I said, the centrepiece of the work that we're undertaking in terms of the channel migration is the online piece, and the more services that we can actually deliver online, the more resources we can actually release to be able to deliver better customer services more broadly. So we are focused on the 13QGov as a single telephone number for government, a single website, qld.gov.au. In the first year, we are looking at 100 new online transactions to be delivered online. We'll be providing click-to-chat functionality so that members of the public can actually speak to an operator if they want to continue with their online experience and can complete their transactions, which is one of the other things that we've found. It's not sufficient to just move your transactions online. If it's poorly put together, not intuitive, then it won't be used. So we do need to make sure that what we actually deliver are transactions that are going to work for members of the public. We are also looking at pilots to test local service outlets, and from that point of view we'll be focusing on community as a pilot and look at ways in which we can deliver face-to-face services within a local community that leverages all of the capability within government, but also opportunities that we can leverage with other partners, local authorities, etc. We'll be designing that with the local communities and in that way look at a model that we can potentially replicate across the whole of the state. We'll be publishing the progress on the one-stop shop on an online dashboard, similarly to the way that we will be doing for all ICT projects across government, and it's part of the overall open data agenda. And importantly, provide authentication capability. In the first instance, the ability for a member of the public to log on, have a unique password that they can operate, and essentially be able to have a rolling account, for want of a better term, with government, rather than just an individual anonymous transaction with government. By 2015, we want to have another 100 transactions available, grow our customer service outlets, and increase the ability of the authentication capability that we have in place to improve the security capabilities that we're able to provide. The other key element to that will be a continual communication with members of the public to feed back into the services that we're providing to make sure that we're actually meeting what they require. The governance for one-stop shop, and it's probably a good time to be talking about it. The very first meeting of the sponsoring group will occur next week. Will be chaired by the Director-General of DSITIA, and there will be a representative group of CEOs from across government, predominantly those that are heavily engaged in direct customer service delivery. Program board will report to that governance group, and there will be a continuation of a senior responsible officers network across government. There has been a senior officers group operating for, Fiona, I'm not too sure how long, but at least a year. Very active engagement from across government, Deputy Director-General representatives from all agencies who have all been part of the development of this plan. So as far as the recommendations are concerned, the very first recommendation, which is developing a channel management strategy, the key elements of that have been developed as part of the one-stop shop plan. The focus in from a central point of view is to developed that strategy, essentially what we're calling the shopping mall. So from a government perspective, DSITIA will be leading the thinking along with other government agencies in developing what we're calling the shopping mall, and each agency will take leases out on it. So they will be able to leverage the capability which is available there, and from a member of the public's perspective, they will see a seamless and consistent service that they're receiving from government. So all agencies will be responsible for ensuring their services essentially plug in. A lot of the work that will be required in terms of moving transactions from currently manual transactions to online transactions will occur within the agencies. But what will be managed centrally is providing that capability, both technically but also from an overall architecture point of view for agencies to be able to plug into. The second component of that is essentially the focus that we did talk about, that we will be moving 100 transactions online in the first year and 200 within the second. Maya spoke about TESB and the work that they're doing. Prior to the time that we started counting these transactions, they brought an additional 153 transactions online, and all agencies are working closely with us to do that. So we're already counting, and we're making dents into the first 100 transactions as we speak. The second recommendation then, which was the development of a channel management strategy within each agency. Again, Mayus indicated earlier that we didn't even know how many services or what all the services were across government. As part of the work that we've done with all of the agencies, we've now identified 900 services that we operate across government. Each agency have worked through or are actively working through a services roadmap on all of those 900 services that they operate with, whether they're exclusively delivered face-to-face over the phone or online, with the intention to plan the progression of those services to online channels. The security aspects, so we can only speak from DSITIA's perspective. We've been undergoing significant work within DSITIA around documenting security design and developing security plans broadly within the capability that we run on behalf of the whole of government, with a lot of attention on PCI compliance. Excuse me. And that work essentially is still ongoing, but we've made significant inroads into that. The fourth recommendation then is around the technology solutions. Key aspects of that are the authentication piece, the ability for a member of the public to uniquely identify themselves and transact business with government. We have customer, the very first level of functionality for customer authentication available for agencies to start using, not yet available to the public, but essentially that will be there now that we can start working with agencies and then build on that functionality, which means that we progressively provide the capability for higher levels of security, which means that we can provide greater and more complex functions to members of the public. There are other technology components that we're delivering, a persons and services directory, the ability to do click-to-chat capability, as well as the ability to, for a member of the public to tell us once, for example, to just provide us information on their address change, and for that information then to be updated across all areas of government that we hold that information. On the fifth recommendation then, the use of data. We actually did collect significant benchmark data from across all agencies on their cost of providing services. It correlates pretty closely with the UK data on the cost of services. There's about a 10-fold difference between a face-to-face transaction and an online transaction. So You can imagine that for a $10 for a face-to-face transaction, we're talking about $1 for an online transaction. So the savings are substantial and definitely worth pursuing. And lastly, the Smart Services Queensland business model. For your information, it's probably important to understand that the way in which the one-stop shop will be run is that Smart Services Queensland will operate as a service provider. The one-stop shop program sits as a separate policy unit that operates on behalf of the whole of government. The Smart Service Queensland will be subject to the contestability agenda, similar to any other agency service provision that's occurring at the moment.